So let's design the form now. I'm going to drop a few buttons here. And this form, as you see, will be of dimensions 900 by 500. I'll also drop a text box. Make it multi-line. And a progress bar. So when I press button 1, I want to assign a new thread which will be making a lot of squares. Let me write this. Say thread T1 is equal to new thread. And in C# you can just hand over a method or a function to a thread, and then you will start the thread. Let me name this function as, make blue squares. Make blue squares. And let us import system.threading. All right. This thread, let us name it as the blue thread. Let me write this function now. Say make void, make blue squares. Let's declare a random variable r1 and call the graphics context. Let's make 100 random squares. I'm going to draw some random numbers between 0 and, if I write 301, then the last one is excluded. So okay, so this is for printing blue squares, and the height of the form is 500, so I'll be writing 501. Each of these operations, it has to draw a rectangle or a square. Let me use blue color. You can even randomize the colors if you want, but let's be simple for now. And starting at R1X and R1Y and 12 in size. So this function, which prints these 100 blue squares, is handed over to thread T1. Let us add some sleeping time for the thread for better effect. All right, and once this printing of the blue squares is finished, a message box should pop up and show you the name of the thread that has executed this. So I need a string here, and let's use the name of, if you remember, we've already defined the name here, blue thread. Let's access it now. Thread.current thread.name. Let's say this blue thread has done its work. And this is the message, and there has to be a title as well, as you see here. Let this title be message. Let's run and see. So upon pressing button 1, I should be getting 100 squares one by one. Yeah, so that works. I'm renaming these buttons to be more, explicitly tell us what they do. You can change the text here, and this will be make orange circles. And this one here will be export file. You can similarly code the next button, make orange circles. So once I press this button, there has to be a thread T2, which will be assigned to do some other thing, and that other thing is running a function which says make orange circles. We have to start that thread. Before we start, we have to name it. So I will say t2.name is equal to, say, orange thread. Oh, yeah, orange thread. So we will similarly make this function void return type make orange circles. We will draw instances of R2. First we call the random class, and we say new random, again call the graphics context, run a loop again 100 times. Sorry. And in there we randomize the x and y locations, but this time the x location will vary from, say, 300 to 600. So I write 601, last one is excluded, and The height of the form remains the same, so I will write 501. I want this to basically print a circle. So circle is an ellipse with both axes equal. I'll choose a new pen. This color will be orange and size will be 3. Sorry. For better effect, we'll be running now 2 threads, right? T1 and T2. So let me sleep this, make it sleep for 200 milliseconds again. And as usual, once any thread finishes, I want a pop-up saying that, that thread has finished. So thread dot current, sorry, current thread dot name has done its work. And I can give a title to this box message. Let us see if we can run these 2 threads simultaneously. Some error there, some error there, and this is, I need to show this message. All right, let's run this, and this will be our basic multi-threading demo. We haven't yet encountered cross-thread operations. So let us see if we can print both circles and squares at the same time. So this is your multi-threading in GUI. Now we'll be adding another component to this. Okay, so I get orange thread has done its work and blue thread has done its work. Now when you press export file, you want to start another thread. Before that, I mean, this button will do 2 things. It will write onto the text box and it will also export the file. But before that, let's define how the progress bar behaves. So I'm going to define the min and max of this progress bar. Say 10,000 is the maximum and 0 is the minimum. Also, I want an increment of, the step size increment is equal to 1. B, and you have, so I'm using another thread T3 to write some text into a file using a method called myExporter method. Next thing is to actually define what my exporter method does. So this method will use path variable f to write something on my desktop. So I use @, and then in a string I define the path to the desktop. Users and then admin. You can write it anywhere. Say, say just a file. we can use the stream writer class variable to actually write into this file. So what do I want to write? Let us say first 10,000 numbers and their squares. This can be generated using for loop. Now this is the tricky part. Text box being a UI control, I cannot write anything into it using another thread T3. Same with progress bar. So progress bar will increment, but I cannot edit that increment using the thread T3. Yeah, I forgot to terminate this string. And I need to import this. I wrote stream writer. That's horrible typing. Anyways, it's good now. Okay. So I want to do two things. I want to write to the text box and I want to write to the file. Let's write each of these numbers to the text box. I have to use the invoke method invoker delegate, and let us use lambda expressions. So just one line of text, that is text box 1 dot append text, and let's write, this has to be a string, no? So let us write variable I and its square. So I say I squared is, and then I times I. And I have to give a new line character, which is given like this. Now should be okay. Once this for loop is complete, I have to close. Let us see how this behaves. So I should be able to do three things now. I should be able to do three things now. Make blue squares, make orange circles, and write to the text box. All at the same time. It says it could not find the file. Let's see if I write to the file using this stream writer variable object. Does it have? On each iteration, let us now there is no cross-threading problem with the file because it's not on the UI. Yeah, it's writing to the desktop. So let us see what is the name of the thread that is writing it. So I am going to actually write the number and its square into the file, just like I want to print it to the text box. Let us see if I still get the same error. System.io.directory not found exception. Could not find a part of. There we are. I think that's the problem. Should work now. I did not give the path right. So fantastic, but this was too quick, so I have to slow this down. Instead of instead of writing just 100 numbers, let me write 10,000 numbers. Also, on the font, let us increase font size to maybe 12, and then rerun. So I'm parallelly doing two things and now three things. So fantastic, this works. I also need to program for the progress bar. So when I press the export button, I'm writing to the text box, I'm writing to the file, which has no problem anyways because this is not on the UI, and I'm also about to update the progress bar. Suppose I write progress bar 1 and then let me set the value of this progress bar to I. Will that work? It will not work. We will get an exception thrown. Here it says system.invalid operation exception, cross-thread operation not valid. So there is no way I can directly edit the progress bar. I have to use the invoke method. Let's assign it to the method invoker. What will it do? All right, let's use lambda expressions. And now will that work? That works. Fantastic. Fantastic. Once all of this is done, I need a pop-up. I say message box dot show. The file exporter thread has done its work. That's the message. The file exporter thread has done its work. And I will also put a title. Let's run this now finally. So I'm making blue squares, I'm making orange circles, I'm editing the progress bar, and I'm also writing numbers and their squares till 10,000. So this is the beauty of multi-threading. Blue thread has done its work, orange thread has done its work. And once I finish exporting the file, there will be a message pop up and I'll be able to view that file on the desktop.